As a gateway to just about every airline, airport, and government agency in aviation, ICAO is the perfect target for cyber spies to set a trap. And according to documents obtained by CBC News, outside investigators believed they weren't dealing with just any hacker, but rather a group of hackers known as Emissary Panda, linked to the Chinese government. CBC News, the head of ICAO, Fang Liu, shelved internal recommendations to investigate the four and their boss, James Wan. All still work at ICAO. But what about those cyber spies? They used a classic watering hole attack. Find a website your targets frequent, ICAO, and infect it with malware to gain access to those targets. Typical of Emissary Panda. Remember, they're believed to be sponsored by the Chinese government. So what were they after exactly? I spoke with an expert in these kinds of attacks.
They target a range of industries. In fact, when we look at all of their targeting activities, they have targeted organizations in North America, South America, Asia, Europe, and even the Middle East. And when we look at the industries they have targeted business services, government, high-tech, pharmaceuticals, automotives, and so forth. But a notable number of their activities seems to be focused around aerospace and transport industry.
Well, China stealing our military secrets. New research suggests Chinese hackers are targeting more than 24 universities to get access to maritime technology.
And we're definitely seeing a huge increase when it comes to intellectual property theft, government secret theft from the Chinese government specifically.
Do we know what they're looking for?
Well, in this specific case, they were developing maritime technology to be used for military purposes. And China definitely uses this type of cyber theft to go into different organizations or different types of research facilities to ensure that it can keep up to date with what the United States is doing. And we see that very commonly from different intelligence organizations, including Russia, including North Korea, including Iran. All of these are different ways that we can use cyber capabilities to understand what our adversaries are doing. And China definitely does that same thing. They want to understand the technology that we're developing so they can stay up to speed with what we're doing here with our military as well.
Now, and it seems to be more than a concern about their own defense. It seems that they do have imperialist goals, if you will, certainly with regard to Taiwan, but also perhaps with regard to Vietnam. Vietnam has complained many times about their intrusions into their water space and airspace, and perhaps even the Philippines, part of the South China Sea as well.
That's right. That whole area is in dispute, and they're getting more and more aggressive around land, around areas that they can expand into and regions there. And you see the cyber front also follow the same type of path. We've seen incursions not just here in the United States, but in those locations as well. So it's not just isolated here in the United States around intellectual property theft. Their government is very much focused on understanding policies, understanding technology, understanding influence within Western allies. It's an expansive problem that we're dealing with right now with China. And now they're looking at implementing all of their Chinese technology with 5G, with Huawei, across across our European allies. So now we have Chinese technology running our next generation of our backbone of our internet. So there's a lot of problems that we're seeing from China currently.
Yeah, of course, remember, they got a lot of problems themselves, as we just talked about in the previous segment. David Kennedy, good to see you. Thank you very much. Very
Thanks, David. You too.
Stuff.
The Chinese government is investing vast sums of money infiltrating American universities, infiltrating American businesses, and they're engaged in a host of nefarious activities. This is a concerted, organized, systematic threat to undermine our universities and undermine our economy, and we need to be serious combating it.
Well, as for the Chinese government, it did not respond to our request for comment.
The greatest threat to America is China internationally. China has a plan to displace America as the greatest, most powerful country in the world by the 100th anniversary of their revolution in 2049. Don't take my word for it. Read it. It's not classified. It's called One Belt, One Road. Go to your favorite search engine, and it better not be Google. Okay? We don't like Google. And look up One Belt, One Road, and you'll find the threat. But you know what the biggest threat to America is? Not socialism in Moscow, socialism here in America. According to the amazing Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, they did a poll last year in which they found that 52% of American millennials would like to live in a socialist or communist America. That, yes indeed, boo, yes indeed, hiss. That is why 40 Democrat candidates in the last midterm election called themselves socialists. That is why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has introduced the Green New Deal, which is, remember this one, use it, it's a watermelon. Green on the outside, deep, deep red communist on the inside. They want to take your pickup truck. They want to rebuild your home. They want to take away your hamburgers. This is what Stalin dreamt about but never achieved. You are on the front lines of the war against communism coming back to America under the guise of democratic socialism, which is just a PC term for communism. I want everyone to take to heart Donald J. Trump is never going to let it happen, and as he said to Congress, America will never be a socialist country.